developing sales resistance. Being content with food and clothing, using and caring for the possessions that we have, and keeping our focus on the purpose for which God made us. If we have not settled this issue of contentment, we will fall a victim to the issue of being manipulated by these advertisements. All right? Advertisements are extremely powerful. We may not recognize it, but don't underestimate the power of advertisement. And because of this power of advertisement, we are often manipulated by this power. Look at me as you think of the powerful influence of alluring advertising. Think of Eve in the Garden of Eden. Eve was the crowning achievement of God's creative power. Did you know that when God formed Adam, man, it said God formed Adam. When He formed the woman, it doesn't say He formed the woman. The Hebrew word says He designed the woman. She was no wonder the women look beautiful. Yeah, she's a designer. She designed a product. And so Eve is the crowning achievement of God's creative power. Not only that, Eve had not committed any sin so far. She was at this point of time sinless. That's an amazing state. Eve lived in a perfect environment. Why was it perfect? Because no mother-in-law was there around. Eve had an abundance and a variety of food. All right, she could eat from any place she wanted to. She had an abundance and variety of food. Eve had no fear of poverty, sickness, old age, or death at that point. All right, there was no fear. There was no need of a pension account. She didn't have to worry about investments for the future. She had no fear of poverty, sickness, old age, or death. Eve had the perfect husband. A rare occasion. All right. This is up until that point of time. And Eve and her husband had daily fellowship with the Lord, and a wonderful spiritual state to be in. And Eve and her husband walked with God in the cool of each day. So that's an amazing thing as well. Then Eve had no tensions or pressures with in-laws, neighbors, or relatives. So that's another blessedness to be in. Right? And 10th, Eve had a fulfilling role as a helpmate to her husband. In other words, she lived in a perfect environment, perfect husband, perfect relationship with God, and so forth. She lived in a very perfect place, as it were. And yet, this lady Eve met the serpent, and who says, what did he say? What did God say about this tree of knowledge of good and evil? And she says, God says, not to eat it, not even to touch it. And he says, nah. He says, the day you eat it, you will not die. First lie. And secondly, when you eat it, you will become so powerful, you will become God yourself. You'll become like God. Right now, you're giving account to Him. Once you are at par with Him, you become God. You don't have to give an account to Him. You can be free. You can be independent. You can live life. You can live life king size. You can rule your world. You can be a gods walking down, and you can be recognized as a god. All those statements that we saw yesterday of different advertisements were being used, as it were. And she responded, even though she had never committed sin. She had a perfect husband, perfect environment, perfect food, perfect future, perfect relation with God, and yet she fell a prey to this power of this advertisement that came from the serpent. So you would recognize the power of advertisement is very, very strong. Subtle tactics of advertising, very subtle. Nowadays it is not subtle, it is very open. For example, we think Satan is very bad, but now he himself comes in advertising. Nowadays, the traditional image of Satan is an acceptable figure, and his values of envy, jealousy, pride are used to promote the products. What does Onida TV say? Neighbors envy, owners pride. Take pride in it, and it makes you feel, why should I not be proud? So it is using the sinful emotions to stir up into our lives. So that is the that is the tragedy of these subtle tactics of advertising. It stirs up that which is sinful and we accept it. We feel, fine, good idea. Let's go further. By the way, some of these advertisements that I want to show might slightly shock you. Yes, look at another one. 3 out of 4 doctors would recommend Flora Proactive Mini drink. Who checked it? Who checked that 3 out of 4 doctors would recommend this Proactive? Have any doctor anywhere here recommended this Proactive, this thing to you? Never. Nowadays there is a Dove or some shampoo advertisement. 9 out of 10%. 9 out of 10. Yeah, 10. Dove, isn't it? So, who has counter-checked? So we look at different pictures, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10, and you think, must be good. So you are getting indirectly brainwashed. And as you travel on a road, you can see it so many times that ultimately kind of being repeated so many times, it brainwashes you. You get affected by it. Let's look next one. White mischief. All right. If you look carefully, it is some kind of beverage that you have. It's called white chief, but the word is put as white mischief, and the picture is mischievous, and it's telling you, promoting that this is the mischief you can enjoy, and so it is promoting certain undercurrent values openly displayed of what is the mischief. There is a man with semi-clad women sitting there and having great fun. So this drink will give you that great fun is the message that is being communicated. Look at this one. Now this ad borders on the ridiculous. See the product and see the ad. All right? What is the relationship with that lady walking there and JK Super Cement? The advert and the products has no connection. It borders on being a ridiculous advertisement. Yeah? But you must know this. This is not bordering on ridiculous. This is obvious. And the obvious is this. You may or may not know. But men are wired up to be impacted by their eye gate. And when a woman who is semi-clad, more skin, less clothing is shown, it causes them to draw the attention. So hoping after they look at that woman, they look what is written below JK Super Cement. So hopefully you will go and buy that cement because it has stirred up something in you. If there are base instincts not yet dealt with, there's no self-control, then you will get attracted to this. Now this psychology they know very well. And so this is being used very powerfully and correctly. And therefore, why was the previous advertisement white mischief? Nothing but it just stirs up that very factor. All right? Yes. It's shown during a cricket match. There you are. Yeah, they know what kind of audience is watching. JK Super Cement. By the way, come to Marlboro country, and it is a macho image, a cowboy, riding a horse. But you want to let you know that Marlboro cigarette was a feminine cigarette. It was a women's cigarette. All right? It was a women's filter cigarette. And now they had a plan to change it from a feminine cigarette to a male cigarette. That is why this so-called Marlboro advertisement were started. Now, there is a warning that is being shown below. Can you read it? All right. So there is this, that macho adverts of Marlboro cigarette, but notice the statutory warning is small and blurred. Whenever Satan sells his products, many of these rules and conditions are written in small print. All right. He may say, enjoy now, in small lettering, pay later in hell. He tells the truth, but in small print. And so you find that is his specialty. Now you know that this is all advertisement about smoking, but somebody put another advertisement some years later, and this is what they put, and that advertisement looks like this. It says, second-hand smoke also kills. All right? Not only the smoking kills, but second-hand smoke also kills. It shows this Marlboro man who is advertised, who is the cowboy. It is, even his horse is dead, as it were. But here is one interesting. The Marlboro man is a figure used in tobacco advertising campaign for Marlboro cigarettes. In the United States, where the campaign originated, it was used from 1954 to 1999. The Marlboro Man was first conceived by Leo Burnett in 1954. The image involves a rugged cowboy or cowboys in nature with only a cigarette. So they were shown in a scene which was very natural, wild surroundings with only a cigarette. The ads were originally conceived as a way to popularize filtered cigarettes, which at the time were considered feminine. The Marlboro advertising campaign is said to be one of the most brilliant ad campaigns of all times. It transformed a feminine campaign with the slogan "mild as May" into one that was masculine in a matter of months. Although there were many Marlboro men, the cowboy proved to be the most popular. This led to the Marlboro Cowboy and Marlboro Country campaigns. 3 men who appeared in Marlboro advertising, Wayne McLaren, David McLean, and Dick Hammer, all died of lung cancer, thus earning Marlboro cigarettes, specifically Marlboro Reds, the nickname Cowboy Killers. What is the truth? It was a feminine cigarette. What is the campaign? To make this feminine cigarette into positive. Who did it? Advertising did it. Advertising converts lies into truths, or rather, truths into lies. And that's their goal. And the truth is, the macho, wild man, live life, king size, rule your world, actually kills. And the statutory warning is small. Now it is made a ruling worldwide, especially in the West, that whatever is the biggest size of your lettering of the cigarette, the statutory warning has to be of the same size. That is a ruling that has come now. But for last so many years, many people have died. Some have sued these tobacco companies and have got some compensation, but bulk of the people are no more. And you can realize this is how advertising works. Somebody is earning money by the payment of blood of most of us. And we got to be careful, because the advertisement are doing it for their own self, not for you or me. They're not serving us. So, advertisement uses sensual and beautiful models. Are they there as a fill in the blanks in your place? I don't know. Advertising uses sensual and beautiful models. All right? Always an intimate pose. Whatever that product is. Or these. I want to let you know that as I was looking for this, I found some horrible pictures. These are the mildest I could get. All right? Advertising bypasses the authority figures. Advertising bypasses the authority figures. Now this is a group called the Rebels Football. You also get Rebels jeans. Yeah. So I told you the products pride, envy, jealousy, rebel are all killer. And what are the name of these deodorants? Passion, axe, addiction, poison, temptation. All these names are being used, and this is so everything chalta hai. Everything is okay for this whole product. So it bypasses authority figures, and advertisement creates doubt about established rules. Creates doubt about established rules. Suggests that you ignore warnings. Suggests that you ignore warnings. Here is another product called Killer. There is a man. He's confused. He's thinking, which one should I choose? Inky, Pinky, Ponky. Father had a donkey. Yes, so then here you are, and that's right, he is becoming a nut in the whole process. But this is being advertised. This is a killer product. It is going to kill him. Correct? But you can see, and there are 3 almost unclothed women, and so there you are, and there he's thinking, which one should I choose, 1 or 2 or all 3? There you are. The next one is advertisement creates discontentment. Now you may say, I may not go for that killer product. I may not go for that poison deodorant. But sometimes what happens is, we have in a house something like this, a 1-door fridge, Godrej make, inherited from our father, perhaps our forefathers. It is giving you good service. It is doing its job. There is no complaint about it. It is doing a fantastic job. It was doing fantastic job in your dad's time, and perhaps your grandfather's time, and is still doing very good job. And so you are inherited this, and it's a good gift when you started, and you had never even thought about the refrigerator until when you were watching the television, you saw an advertisement of a 3-door fridge. Suddenly you realize, when you went back to your 1-door fridge, and as you opened it, you said, because the inside looked like this, and this looked like this. And you wondered, Now you notice that the capacity is also adequate. Even though this is 3-door, the 3-door, it is half full, it's not even full. Whatever you had 1 door was adequate, it was fulfilling your need. But suddenly you find that the 3-door one appeals to you quite a lot. You are now dissatisfied because you've seen a 3-door advertisement. You're not fallen prey to any sensual advertising, you're not fallen prey to anything temptation-wise, but you've fallen to a very decent advertisement. From 1 door you become discontent, and your discontentment has produced dissatisfaction. And one who gets impacted most is your wife. And so she nags you, I think this is not good, I think this is old-fashioned, I think this is good, and she's nagging you, and you are thinking, but your resistance daily is kind of giving way, and you're not able to manage. And guess what? One of the days you visit a friend's house, and they have a 4-door fridge. Now you are really outdated. You feel like you are from Mohenjo-daro and Harappa era. And she says, look, even they have a 4-door. I'm only asking for 3-door. And so then you got no choice. You cannot come home straight. You have to go to the shopping mall and order your 3-door fridge. Advertisement creates discontentment. It tells you, makes you dissatisfied. You were satisfied till yesterday, until that advertisement came into your life. Advertisement promotes an independent spirit. It promotes an independent spirit. It appeals through human reasoning. It promotes self-fulfillment at all cost. It promotes independent spirit, appeals through human reasoning, and promotes self-fulfillment at all cost. Now, today morning, Anand labored, and he showed us the importance of the cross. Filtering everything through the cross changes our whole perspective of every subject, no matter which subject you talk about. Moment you talk anything minus the cross, then independent spirit comes up. And sin is basically life living independent of God. And that's what advertisement promotes. It appeals through human reasoning, not through God's perspective. Human reasoning says, if I have got a salary of 100, if I give away 10%, I am left with only 90%. It will be tough because I can't manage with 100. How will I live with 90? That is human reasoning. But biblical reasoning is different. Biblical reasoning is, even though you may have 90, God will so bless it, it will last you more than 110. And so that's the biblical reason. It's a different ball game altogether. Absolutely different. If you are hungry, what do? You eat your 5 loaves and 2 fishes. But according to Bible, you give it to God, and He multiplies and feeds 5,000, and you get also your full. And so that is a different reasoning. Human reasoning is always dangerous. And it promotes self-fulfillment. Self-fulfillment is the way of this world. It says here, reward yourself. Reward yourself. That's the thing. You deserve it. You worked hard. You deserve it. There's another one. Reward yourself this winter, whatever it is. Or another one from Standard Chartered. You want to make the most of your holiday. We maximize it with extra reward point. There you are. Reward yourself with whatever you can. So there is that motivation of self-fulfillment, self-rewarding, self-motivation. The direction is self, while our focus is always towards God. Many of you know the story of a man called Sadhu Sundar Singh. He was a Sikh man who became a Christian, and then he put on a attire of a saffron robe, because he could then walk into ashrams and mutts where he could speak to many of the Indian sadhus and tell them what they're looking for. And many of them sadhus are on a search, and he says, well, I was on a search, but I found the truth, I found the reality, I found the answer, I found the moksha. And he would share the gospel because he was doing that. And one of the days he had a great desire to go to the land of Tibet and share the word. One of the days when he was on the Himalayan mountains going towards this land, one village, crossing through this from one village to other village through the Himalayan region, there were several pilgrims, and he also was walking through. Suddenly in those Himalayan regions, he got caught in a snowstorm. When it snows, the temperature drops down drastically. And when the temperature drops down drastically, your blood can freeze. And if your blood stops circulating, you get what is called hypothermia, and you are no more. And so everyone had to run to find shelter because they were middle of nowhere. And so he and his another pilgrim whom he picked up along the way, they both began to run in order to find some shelter because there was danger of hypothermia. But as they were running, they found another pilgrim running ahead of them, and that fellow just collapsed. And within seconds, both Sadhu Sundar Singh and his other pilgrim came and stood next to this man. Of course, he had just collapsed, so they touched him. His body was still warm. And Sadhu Sundar Singh said to the other man, if you leave him here, he will die. So the other guy, what are you thinking? He says, I'm thinking whether we should help him. Other guy said, if you go to help him, we all three will die. With that other pilgrim didn't even wait. He started to continue to run. And Sadhu Sundar Singh was torn in his mind. What can he do? And then he decided he will bend down and pick this body up. And he picked this man up, put it on his shoulders, and then tried to run, which is a very, very tough job. But a strange thing happened. This man's body worked like a blanket and so kept him warm. And as he was running with this big heavy weight, his blood was being pumped by the heart ferociously. As a result, his whole body was kept warm in spite of the temperature dropping down. The only difficulty was, as he continued for some distance, he found another body. And as he touched this body, it was dead, already gone cold. He turned this body, and guess what? It was the pilgrim who ran ahead and had tried to save himself. And Sadhu Sundar Singh makes this statement: he who tries to save himself will perish, but he who lays down his life for someone else will find life. Self-fulfillment is a pathway to death, but self-sacrifice is the pathway to life. That's what Jesus said. And so, this reward yourself is a dangerous statement, but that's what the advertisement does. Look at this one. Advertisement appeals to the lust of the eyes. This may be loud.
ตอนบ่าวัตถุ
เป็นไร
ไม่ได้กินข้าวมาหลายวันแล้วพี่
ทำไมไม่กินอ่ะ
จะเก็บเงินซื้อกระเป๋าใหม่
เนี่ยบ้าวัตถุ
หนูเปล่า
ของพวกเนี้ยของนอกกายมาแล้วก็ไปเป็นภาพลวงตา ก็เหมือนฟองอะขายของหน่อยนะสมูทอีเบบี้เฟสสครับไม่มีฟองประโยชน์เนื้อใช้แล้วสวยล้างแล้วใสใครๆก็ยอมรับ
โอ้โหค้างเลย ใหม่สมูทอีเบบี้เฟสครับ
Teenagers are very conscious of their pimples, and so teenage problems can be solved by this particular product. That's what it's trying to say. It is showing materialism or materialistic thinking, but at the end of the day, it is promoting materialism. That's how it is. So, appeals to the lust of the eyes. That is there. Advertisement appeals to the lust of the eyes. There you are. Revlon limited edition diamond lust eyeshadow, free. Or here it is. For lips that catch the eye, it appeals to the lust of the eye. And so the advertisement that goes on offers fulfillment apart from God. Offers fulfillment apart from God. Advertisement deceives by misleading phrases. Look at this advertisement. There is a cigarette called Tipolette. What does it say? Blow in her face and she'll follow you anywhere. All right? All you got to do is and blow it on her face and she will follow you anywhere. That's amazing. So he does deceive you by misleading phrases. Also interesting note that the lady who is going to follow you is scantily dressed. That is again telling you that that is what appeals to the men, their eyes, and therefore it always promotes that whole issue.
Ready, file, please. Camera's rolling. And we're recording sound. Slated.
there is a wonderful software called Photoshop. With the help of Photoshop, even if you look like a beast, you look like this, very beautiful. And many of us look at that beautiful model and think, if I wear this, I will also look like that. If I use this Dove soap or cream or whatever that is, I will look like that. And you can realize it is all fabricated by this so-called Photoshop software. And so, but that is what it does. Advertisement hides the product's weakest points and tries to give you a bunch of lies. That is how it works into our lives. Consequences of alluring advertisement. Consequence of alluring advertisement, the lives of other people are damaged. The lives of other people are damaged. Can you imagine the millions of people who are killed or suffering from cancer because of smoking? And for that matter, many other products as well. They sometimes, even pharma companies, release a tablet which has got a lot of side effects. And many people are not told of the side effects, and they take those medications, and the side effects kill someone. And so you can find permanent damage, paralysis comes in, but they never tell you the truth. They just tell you the one side of the product. And so it's like a doctor who says the surgery was successful, but the patient is dead. Surgery is successful, but the patient is dead. All right? And so the lives of other people are damaged. Loss is usually irrevocable. Loss is usually irrevocable. There is blame and justification. I am doing this because, and they blame it on someone else. I got to survive. मेरे पेट के लिए कर रहा हूँ. So, and there is justification of their their improper behavior. Do you know, you get this chana dal, but along with chana dal, there is another dal. You can mix it together and make the, the flour. But that dal, which is called the lang dal, that can cause paralysis. And so you do not know when you buy ready-made gram flour, whether it is purely gram flour or it's a mixture, because lang dal is very cheap. You can mix it, it looks like the same, but in the long term, you can be paralyzed. It is your duty to find out and do what you want. And so people are living at the expense of someone else. Do you know that those who are involved in Surat area polishing diamonds, that polishing of diamonds causes the diamond dust and the abrasive wheels dust to go in the air? They only tie a handkerchief which cannot really filter what they breathe in. They have a life of 10 years. So after about 5 or 6 years, these workers are sacked and new workers are taken. And these workers, whenever they go, in the course of time, around 10 years time, they will die. There are people who use this coal, which is also broken, pulverized. Again, it releases dust, and the workers have a lifespan, much lesser lifespan. So they work only for a year or two, they are paid some money and they're sent off. And so they will die somewhere. They will not die here, they will die somewhere else, so that they will not penalize me in my factory. So you have people who make other people work. There are chemical factories, same thing, there are extremely toxic chlorine gases and other gases which they inhale, and over a period of time, you're going to have trouble. You have companies that are releasing effluents into places, and then when these companies, let's say, are releasing effluents in this place, and some cattle die or some people die, then it comes in the newspaper. But as it's about to come in the newspaper, the company guys calls up the newspaper and says, if you put that news report, all advertisement coming in your newspaper, forget from now onwards. So the newspaper editor says, okay, we'll forget the thing, let the advertisement keep coming. And so there you are, trapped. There is blame and justification that goes on. Difficulty of life increases. The difficulty of life increases. The fruit of destruction begins. The fruit of destruction begins. So, how to build sales resistance? How to build sales resistance? First of all, expect salesmen to overrate their products. If anybody comes and tells you something, don't succumb to it and buy on the spot. You say, okay, you leave your papers with me, leave your documents with me. I will consult my chartered accountant, I will consult my friend, and I'll get back to you. Okay? They say, no, this is a one-time offer, you get I say, listen, you just leave it here. I will make my inquiry and then get back to you. When you say, no, I say, listen, I expect every salesman to overrate the product. That is another way of saying, I expect every salesman to tell lies. So I don't trust you. Now, you want to prove yourself? Tell me a third-party proof, then I'll believe in you. So you need always a third-party proof before you need to do that. So expect salesmen to overrate that product. Look at this. Do you believe that? Some people actually believe this. Less wrinkles in only minutes. I think this was made for Pakistan because they go from right to left, no? All right? Try it today. Less wrinkles in only minutes. And then it says, below it says what? Simulated imagery. All right? But we don't read that. We don't read that. See, let me try fooling you. What is it that you see when you go to a village in a dark night? When you go to a village in the dark night, in the field, that which goes off, switches off, goes off, switches off. What is it? Fire? There you are. See, I said goes off, switches off. But what did you see? This is called the power of alluring advertisement. It says one thing, but it shows something else. It is actually, because it is saying the right thing, goes off, switches off, but it's showing something else. So they are protected because they're saying the right thing, but they are alluring us. This is like that. It says only simulated. We never claim it to be so. At the same time, we get carried away by what we see, but don't read the small print, and that's what it is. Less wrinkles in only minutes. Can you imagine if you could apply? I am 57. It would make a lot of difference. Imagine I look like Stephen Kanga. Wow.
Hi.
Hi.
I was marooned on an island for 5 years with this package. And I swore that I would deliver it to you because I work for FedEx.
That's very admirable. Thank you.
Hey, but by the way, what's in the package?
Nothing really. Just a satellite phone, GPS locator, fishing rod, water purifier, and some seeds. Just silly stuff. Thank you again. You keep up the good work.
What does it say? FedEx, this man was marooned on an island for 5 years. And he vowed that he will deliver the package. And he never touched the contents of the package. Though the package contained a GPS locator and a satellite phone and some seeds by which he could have lived for 5 years, he never touched it. And he was willing to deliver it anywhere, any place, anytime. FedEx can deliver it to the moon. That's the advertisement says. So I called up FedEx and gave them a packet for our Pastor Shaiza in Manipur. They said, sorry, we don't travel there. All right. In fact, I called up 3 different agencies, all claiming similar to FedEx, but none of them were delivering it and it is a place where there are 20,000-30,000 people living there. Not just moon, it is 20,000-30,000 people living there, and yet they were not willing to deliver it. So what is their claim and what is their actual performance? They will only deliver where it is commercially feasible for them. They are not going to get, I am marooned on an island to deliver your package. This is the power of advertising. Expect salesmen to overrate their product. Learn to enjoy the possessions you have. Learn to enjoy the possessions you have. It's very important that we learn to enjoy what we have. Now, I think sometimes I see some children having all the gadgets that they can have. They can have all the gadgets, all the different toys or products they can use. And so they use those products. But there are some children who don't have anything. But their imagination is so good. They find one grandfather's stick and they put it between their legs and they make it horsey. All right? And so you can convert your basic simple things and learn to enjoy your life. I think of traveling in the train or traveling in the bus long distance, say from here to Bangalore, with my children who were then small at those days. The children, 24 hours long journey. So come on, sit in my lap, sit in the lap. We're looking out of the window. I said, come on, let's play a game. You select a car, you select the color of a car. And if any car with that color passes by, you get 1 point. So she said, I choose black. You said, I choose white. And I said, oh, I choose blue. And so we go. And she says, black one, number one, I get 1 point. She said, white one, I get 1. Then 2, 3, 4. And then after they have got 10, 12, I said, I get 1. And so we play a game. How much does it cost? Nothing. And learn to enjoy. There are so many ways you can enjoy. You can enjoy going to the park. You can go and enjoy. You don't have to always have to spend money and get that product in order to get satisfaction. And so that is very crucial. Learn to enjoy the possessions you already have. Make use of the things in life that are free. Make use of things in life that are free. Build personal disciplines. Build personal disciplines. Now here is one example. Personal disciplines and how they build sales resistance. Schedule times of fasting after checking with your physician, of course. Because when you schedule times of fasting, possessions lose their appeal. Fasting puts your focus on God. Now, discipline with our own strength is difficult. Fasting with our own strength is difficult. I have known of certain days I decide I want to fast every Friday. And come Friday and I fast. And I have some willpower to be able to say no to food. But throughout the day there is a struggle. There is a battle. There is a uncomfortable feeling as I survive through, and I'm waiting when it will be evening 8 o'clock, then I can break my fast. And so that's how I survive the day. That is fasting with my own strength, my own willpower. But there are other days when God puts upon me a burden to fast for something, and I fast. And absolutely easy throughout the day. And when evening comes to break the fast, I say, yeah, I could fast another 2 days more. It looks very easy. The grace of God helps you. And so also, there is this personal discipline, perhaps discipline which is again a willpower, and perhaps fasting which is also willpower. But if you ask God, because see, Christ made on the cross everything available for us. All right? The covenant he makes, the word covenant is actually a divine exchange. Our problems becomes his, and his resources becomes ours. And so this is the gospel. This is the cross. This is what happens. So if you say, Lord, I am having difficulty, I fall easy prey to temptation of advertising, please help me and give me strength to have discipline, give me strength to have fasting. As he helps you, you'll find the possessions lose their appeal. Read Proverbs each day. Billy Graham, his recommendation is 5 Psalms a day and 1 Proverb a day. And because if you read 5 Psalms a day, in 1 month you finish all the 150 Psalms. And 1 Proverb a day, finish all the 31 Proverbs in 1 month. So every month he finishes. And he says the practical wisdom that he has, it comes because of his regular reading of Proverbs. And the spiritual walk improves because of regular reading of the Psalms. So you find that possessions lose their appeal, and read Proverbs each day. Wrong types of people will be identified and their motives exposed. Wrong types of people will be identified. Give God monthly tithes. Anand gave a beautiful example as he was struggling with all those investments and things, and he said, well, my heart is getting distracted, my treasure is shifting, and he took a decision, just gave that chunk of money to the Street Kids ministry in order to ensure that he puts his heart in the right place. As you give, God becomes very important. So treasures and affections are transferred towards heaven. Find out the full price before evaluating a product. Now, sometimes you have a power cut, electricity goes off at an unexpected time, and you discover there are no candles in the house. So you go to a shop. In that shop also there is no light. And so you say, candles? He said, yes. And he gives you a box. He said, how much? So he says, normally the price for this candles box is 30 rupees. But because you have come my regular customer, I'm giving it for 20 rupees. You feel good, he feels good, you pay 20, you take the candles home, you light the candle. And later on the electricity comes, so you blow the candle off. And then you take the candle box and have a look at it. MRP, 15 rupees. Alright? So he fooled you in the darkness saying normal price 30, but to you I'm giving it for 20. And so you find that you find out the full price before evaluating a product. Emotions are not always allowed to overrule sound reason. maintain a pure thought life, because alluring advertising which uses sensuality will be avoided. You know the verse Philippians 4:8. Whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think on these things. Don't think on the wrong things. Whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is admirable, only think on this. When you maintain a pure thought life, this sensual advertisement will have no appeal to you whatsoever. You won't need to have a second look and keep looking at it to see what the product is. Seek out counsel before buying, because impulse buying will be eliminated. You may be impacted by an advertisement, but before you buy it, maybe you're buying a 2-in-1 or 3-in-1 player, but you can ask a friend, and I'm thinking of buying this Sanyo make, what do you think? And he will tell you whether it is good, bad or ugly. Pray for and about needed items. Instead of just buying them, pray for them. Do I really need it? Supernatural provisions and directions will be experienced. I just had that 2 months back when I came back from my vacation in May, and as soon as I arrived, I discovered that my kitchen had undergone major repairs, and during that repairs they had shifted my refrigerator here, there and everywhere, and when I started the refrigerator it would not work. We did all sorts of things at home, didn't work, so finally called the technician. Technician said it will not work. So I said, I don't believe technician, call the Godrej, please, because there is a Godrej fridge. So the Godrej people came and they said, sir, this is an old outdated model, it has given up its ghost. You will have to declare it unfit. Now I had just put some money, I finished my vacation, I put some money, so I had no spare money left to buy the fridge. So I said to Esme, let's pray. And we were praying, and one day we were traveling in a vehicle. Jomon was sitting with me, and Jomon was talking to somebody on the phone, and Jomon said to me, and of course I told Jomon also about my need, about praying for the fridge. And Jomon said a family was living in Bombay, is leaving Bombay and leaving the country, and they have a fridge, they want to give it as a gift. Is there anybody needy? You can have it. So he told already, my pastor's fridge just conked out, he would like to. He said, oh, they'll be delighted. And so we got a fridge, and that was a nice fridge. As you pray about it, supernatural provision will come and will be experienced. And so next is avoid going to sales on items that you are not intending to buy. Yeah, don't go window shopping, especially if you have a weakness for getting carried away. Some of us go window shopping and they say, I have nothing to buy, I'm just looking. When you reach home, you have got lots of bags in hands. So items that you do not need will not be purchased. Check with your spouse before buying. This applies to ladies, I think, more. But check. Spouse's caution can help you to avoid unwise financial decisions. So sign the dotted line. Personal commitment to building sales resistance. That is there in your sheet. Personal commitment to building sales. From this day forward, my expenditures will be guarded and guided by the disciplines required for wise sales resistance. I will analyze advertising and require documentation for advertising claims, signature and date. That's something, if you feel, okay, I'm going to be vigilant about advertising. I'm not going to get carried away. I will no longer believe advertisement at its face value, because often they are done to manipulate me, use my psychological feeling, and undergird me, and therefore you will find that this can really cause a major difficulty. Amen? All right, so we have finished a few minutes before we planned, which is good news for us. So we have some time. Then I will show you some clippings. So keep you occupied, and let's see.
When I was 7, most of my friends stopped believing in magic. That's when I first started. They were beautiful. They were happy. They didn't even need any money. They had magic cards. Rebecca Bloomwood. Dress, Zac Posen. Belt, Todd Oldham Vintage. Bag, Gucci. You know that thing when you see someone cute and he smiles and your heart kind of goes like warm butter sliding down hot toast? Well, that's what it's like when I see a store.
Declined.
Can you try again?
Really declined.
How are you gonna pay this debt?
I know I've made some mistakes, but I'm turning my life around.
Fluent in Finnish?
Everyone pads their resume a little. Sorry.
You
took a job at a savings magazine. Don't you think that's kind of ironic that Rebecca Bloomwood is advising people on how to handle money? Gucci boots! I saw him first. Give them to me! Bex, you can do this. You just need to figure out what you write about.
Shoes.
Describing investment in the way that women purchase different shoes, that was very clever.
It is.
This is a very important magazine.
Is this where you should be?
Do not open that closet!
What I really need is a black Vanice shoe in a size 10.
You speak Prada?
Rebecca's pretty unique. She's vivacious, inspiring, funny. She's hard to ignore.
Where is it? Where is that credit card?
Confessions of a Shopaholic.
I remember from your resume that you speak Finnish. There's someone very excited to meet you. Jani.
Ah, hei hei.
Hey!
Onpa hauskaa tavata toinen suomalainen täällä. Siitä lähtien, kun mä oon täällä Amerikasta.
Men like you are the reason I left Finland. Hello?
Shopping is a disorder in the sense that it might need healing. It's something which could, there's this term which is called retail therapy. They call it retail therapy. I mean, the need to go and shop. For example, there are some people who, when they are depressed, eat a lot. They eat a lot. And some people, more people of late, when they are depressed, they go shopping. Because what this does is it tells them they're depressed for so many, maybe their lover jilted them, whatever the reason, but going and shopping tells them, I am worth it. So it gives that sense of self affirmation, and that is why they go and shop. So that's one more dimension to it. Thank you. This is about putting in place a savings and investment plan. And that's a session we are going to be doing right after this case study. So we'll take about 10 minutes to go through the case study. So we essentially have to kind of do a rough budget for them, which gives a sense of how much they can spend a month, and then set aside some money for savings. And I'd like each group to kind of come up with savings options. You might say fixed deposit, mutual fund, whatever your group can decide. And say if the group has, let's say if the family can save 10,000 a month, then you could say so much in fixed deposits, so much in buying a house, or each group has to decide. So we'll take 10 minutes. We are not promoting any particular brand. This is a calculator which is readily available. So one of the things was each group is now going to share how much they are setting aside every month at the age of 28. And I'll give you roughly when this couple retires at 60, which is 32 years from now, what their savings could be worth under different rates of return. So that'll give us a sense of the power of savings. Okay, so we'll start with the first group. How much, just one question, how much per month is this group setting aside?
Okay, we felt that considering that maximum expenditure advisable, so we thought, okay, 20% saving of is okay.
20%.
20% around.
So how much is that per month?
It goes around 20 to 25,000.
20 to 25,000 per month as saving. How much as giving?
Giving what we have assumed is okay. Tithing is the first thing, and his living expenses around 40,000, near about 40,000.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So 22,000. 22,000 per month. Let's see what happens if this couple invests 22,000 per month. Okay. Here are the numbers for all of us. If you put it in PF, which is Provident Fund, no risk, 8% interest, for 32 years without a break, you're left, this couple will end up with about 4 crore in terms of saving at the 60th year when they are ready to retire. Is that a decent saving? Okay. If you invest 22,000 per month over 32 years in PF, which is 8%,
interest that it generates, they could end up with almost 4 crore as savings. That's the power of starting early. Now I'm going to show you a couple of illustrations, but let's finish with the groups first. How about this group? The second group, how much are you setting aside? 30,000, more aggressive. Okay, how did you manage roughly?
Because 30,000.
How did you arrive at 30,000?
Out of 75,000, 45,000 is the maximum expenditure for everything, including tithing, including contingency expenses also.
Okay.
So we can keep, because they are only 28 years and they are only husband and wife.
Okay. So 30,000 a month.
30,000, yes.
Okay. Okay, if this couple invests 30,000 a month, starting at the age of 28 till 60 for 32 years, at the minimum 8% return, we are talking about retirement nest egg of 5.3 crore, 5.4 crore approximately. What this calculator does, it tells you if you invest an X amount per month for X number of years, if the returns you earn is 8%, how much will be the final amount? 10%, 12%, and it has given different options. Now, one of the things is, this is slightly aggressive on returns. So 8% is the minimum. It's quite possible there are instruments which will give you less. So that's one thing to be considered as well. Okay, that group, that's the heavyweight group because there's a wealth manager sitting in that group.
We have a saving of 30K.
30,000.
On which we have 18K as the normal expenses,
okay,
10K as the rent, and 10K as the tithe and offerings, and 5 annual and 2 margin.
Okay.
Altogether it comes to 45K as the expense and 30K is the saving.
Savings. So then this group also ends with the same amount, which is 5.4 crore at 8% interest. How about this group?
We are planning to save around 40,000.
40,000.
Yeah.
Excellent. Very aggressive. Okay, let me do the numbers. This is like an auction. Okay.
But this is only for the planning of 5 years.
Okay.
For 5 years. According to the Mr. Ramesh and this thing, this
okay.
is given.
Okay. Can everyone pay attention, please? Yeah.
Down the line for 5 years.
Okay.
Salary will be increased by 15% every year.
Okay.
So almost 9,500 every year will be having extra money with you.
Okay.
And they are planning the child after 3 to 4 years.
Okay.
So their expenditure will be not much for the 5 years.
Okay.
So I think we can save 40,000 in different ways, or either in LIC or in PF or in NSC, anywhere.
Yes. We will come to those instruments as well.
Yeah.
So 40,000 a month leaves this couple with about 7 crore at the end of 60 years when they retire. So which is very good. How about this group?
We've considered as all the expenses as 50,000 and 25,000 is the saving.
25,000 is the saving. Okay, very realistic.
Yeah,
I think that's realistic.
Yeah. And
yes.
then we thought a little about breaking that saving. So
excellent.
We have kept 500 as for the mediclaim per month and 500 for life insurance per month.
Okay.
And we had considered 12,000 as the rent.
Okay.
Now, since there was an aspiration of buying a flat,
yes,
we have considered a home loan of 30 lakhs, which would roughly come to an EMI 30,000 per month.
Okay.
So rent would be saved now since they
would be saved. Excellent.
Since they have their own flat.
Earlier they buy the home, the better.
Yeah. So now the EMI minus the rent which they're saving becomes 18,000. So the 25,000 saving they had, out of that 1,000 goes for the insurance and 18,000 goes for the loan for the EMI. I mean for the home loan.
Okay.
So now they're effectively having 6,000 for which they can think about other investments.
Okay. Okay. So I understand the model. So you've kind of gone really aggressive on the home, which is a wise decision too. Excellent. How about this group?
Our model also kind of aligns with there. And we have considered a home loan of 30,000 after selling their property that they have ancestral land.
Yes.
As a down payment.
You use that as a down payment. Very good.
So 30,000 loan we are taking, Okay. 30 lakhs, sorry. And the EMI comes to at a 9% rate, or somewhere 27,000.
Okay.
So we have a saving of 11,000 per month.
Okay.
After considering all the EMIs and
Okay. So
everything, actually, even Mediclaim insurance, everything.
Excellent.
So 11,000 is something they can save first year.
Okay.
And then we can see next year
Okay.
at a rate of 15%
Sure.
growth what happens.
So 11,000 is what this group has decided to save.
After
paying home loan, yes, of course. So after paying home loan, that comes to about almost 2 crore, right? 11,000 per month almost adds up to 2 crore. So that is what this group has planned. Excellent. Okay, let's look at a hypothetical scenario. An individual starts early. Okay, let's say he starts when he starts working. Let's assume he starts working at 28, which is rather late, but let's assume he saves 1,000 rupees a month. Anyone can save that? From a certain bare minimum kind of standard of living, anyone can save 1,000 a month. How many of us actually save at least 1,000 a month? Excellent. Perhaps not all of us. I was not saving anything till I was 30 or something like that. So let's assume this individual saves 1,000 rupees a month. Okay, you can see the numbers as they come up. Okay, if you say 1,000 rupees a month, your saving adds up to 17 lakh at 8% interest. But if there are instruments which can give you better interest, it goes all the way up to 20%. It goes up to, how much is this? 3.4 crore at 20%. Now 20% is very, very difficult. Mutual funds is an option. We're going to be looking at various instruments in the session as we get into the session. So that's the power of compounding. That's the advantage of starting early. The assumption here is, let's say you put whatever is earned is reinvested. That is one more assumption that is being made here. Now let's look at one more scenario which I want to show you and kind of impress on you. Okay, let's kind of look at it this way. Is there anyone who hasn't started saving yet or who's just got into the habit and you are planning to start saving? Would you like to know, if you save so much, how much could this add up to? Anyone like that? And we'll help you out with the numbers. Yes. How much would you like to save a month? 2,000 a month. How old are you? 25. Okay, excellent. That's a very good age to start saving. So he is 25, so he's got 45 more years to work. 35 more years, sorry. 35 more years. And he's going to save 2,000 a month. Okay? By the time you're 60, you will have about 46 lakh if you just put money bare basic PF. Does it sound good? It's a good start, right? Now imagine 45 lakh is a lot of money. It will not. There will be inflation. We're going to be looking at that. It may be, but if he doesn't start early, which is what I'm going to show you now, if he doesn't start now, he won't even have that. Right? The 45 lakhs is got to be net of inflation, but we are assuming 8%. So perhaps because he's young, his risk profile is better. Perhaps he could be a little more aggressive in his investments. So, but he has something, yes. But inflation is a very important point. Thank you. Anyone else who wants to try? If you save, yes, 10,000 per month. How old are you, sir? 31. So 29 years you can save. Okay, excellent. So let's try this. 10,000 per month. So to save for another 29 years. Okay, you will have about 1.3 crore at 18%. It's good, isn't it? Okay, let me show you one. Anyone else who wants to try? Yes. 2,000 after 2 years. How old are you now? So 31 you will start saving 2,000 a month. Very good. Excellent. So, yeah, 2,000 a month. Same, yeah. Number of years is the same. So you will have about 27 lakhs. Which is good. Yes. 5,000 and 29 years. Very good. Okay, 29 years is the same. About 68 lakh. Okay. Now this is a calculator which is available, easy to download. It's an SIP calculator. We'll talk about SIPs a little later. But this gives a sense. Now, let me show you one hypothetical example, okay? There is this person who starts saving 1,000 rupees a month. He's a graduate, he's passed out of college in 20, he's taken up a job in a BPO call center. Okay, straight out of college, he's taken up a job. He's attended this finance management series. He goes back convinced he has to start saving. So he's going to save 1,000 rupees a month. That is all he's going to save. 1,000 rupees a month for 40 years because he's only 20. Actually, he didn't want to come to this course, but someone persuaded him. He's happy. So now that he's come, he's made this decision to invest. So 1,000 rupees a month. At 20 years, he starts saving. In 40 years, he will have about 35 lakh. Okay? 35 lakh at minimum 8% PF rate of return. Now, let's say this person did not come to the seminar today. And he comes to the seminar 20 years later. When he is 40. And he decides, I wish I had come 20 years ago, but I can't go back 20 years. So what I will do is, if someone had come at 20 years ago, they would have said 1,000 rupees a month. So I will double my saving. Okay? I will now invest 2,000 a month at the age of 40. So the man who started investing at the age of 20, if he invests 2,000 a month, how much is he investing? 1,000 a month. 1,000 a month into 12 months, which is 12,000 a year, into 40 years, 4.8 lakh is what he's investing, and this is what his return will be. Now, the 40-year-old starts saving, but he says, I missed 20 years, but I will double the investment, the saving. So he saves 2,000 a month for 12 months, which is 24,000 a month, for 20 years, which is also 4.8 lakh. Should the amount be the same? No. Let's look at how much it actually is. Will someone remember 35 lakhs and 1.7 crore? Or is that 17 crore? The last figure? Okay. So please remember, please make note, 35 lakh and 17 crore. Let's look at the second example. He is going to invest for 20 years because he's late, but he's going to double his saving to 2,000. How much is he going to be left with? 11 lakh and 6 crore. You see the difference? Starting early, you can save less and still enjoy the fruit of it. Okay? So you might think, next 3 years I will finish all this, and start saving. I would encourage you, start saving something very early. 1,000 rupees a month. This is the difference that it makes. It makes a difference of 28 crore. The difference between starting at 20 and starting at 40 and investing double of what you would have invested earlier is 28 crore or 25 lakh if you look at minimum 8%. 35 lakh minus 11 lakh. Does that make sense? Okay, so I made my point. So all young people, get that 1,000 rupee a month going, which is a very good habit to start with. Okay, so what we're going to do for quickly 1 minute is forget the actual proportion. Each group will tell me what are the saving instruments they've considered. Quickly, and we'll do one round and we'll start the next session.
We actually, what we thought was SIP, which is through mutual fund.
Okay.
Recurring deposits.
Recurring deposits
is another option.
Set the session up. Yeah, recurring deposits.
Because in this case study we saw his need for property, we thought, okay, he should definitely, because it's definitely going to appreciate.
Excellent.
That's all that we could immediately come out.
Excellent.
Yeah, there could be many more options.
That's fine. The next group?
Yeah, we thought of SIP only, three, four instruments, you know.
Okay.
So over a period of time, we can multiply the amount.
Excellent. Excellent. The next group?
So within the investments, like we thought of 30% to go for pension plan.
Okay.
30% for PPF.
Okay.
30% for mutual fund SIP.
Okay.
And 10% for the stocks.
Excellent. Good choice.
LIC, EPF and NSE. We have,
excellent.
Yes.
That's the safer option. Excellent. Okay.
We considered insurance.
Insurance, okay.
And the home loan also we considered as an investment,
yes,
because there would be definitely an increase in the value of the home.
Of course, yes.
And we were left with 6,000.
Okay.
Probably that we can divide it into various options.
Okay. Okay. Fine. This group?
We have considered systematic investment plan and PPF, and I would consider instead of stocks either mutual fund or ULIP policies.
Okay. 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 In many ways, this is going to be a very interesting session. I say interesting for two reasons. It's going to be a very practical session, but at the same time, it's going to be very Bible based as well. And I'm sure you're going to have a whole lot of questions. So we are trying to have a good 1 hour for question and answer session at the end. So there's one session now, one session after that, but good 1 hour we want to set aside for question and answer session. So keep your questions, hang on to your questions, we will get. Okay, systematic investment plan was actually started by the mutual fund industry. Mutual funds, does anyone know what are mutual funds? Very simply put, mutual fund takes money from investors and invests it on behalf of the investors in stock markets or in debt. And a systematic investment plan was put in place to give people like us who earn monthly income to set aside a certain sum every month for investment in mutual funds. Most mutual funds will accept a minimum investment of 500 rupees. The advantage with mutual funds, and I'll tell you the advantage and the disadvantage. The advantage with mutual funds is that, and the advantage with systematic investment plan, the advantage with mutual funds, one group said they will invest 10% directly in stocks. That is good and it is bad. It is neutral, but it can become good, it can become bad. It is good because stock investments can give you superior returns. You know, a stock can double in 2 years. It can also double in 6 months. It can also double in 1 month. Okay, it can also double in 6 years, but it can also lose all its value in 3 days. If you had invested in Satyam Computer Services in November 2008, your value would have been wiped out. And there is no way, forget you, SEBI, the government, the courts, journalists, nobody had any idea what was happening. So it is risky. There is a big risk. What a mutual fund does is it puts in place professional fund managers. Their job is managing money. They've learned that, they've been trained like that, and there are some broad guidelines, broad philosophies, broad rules, checks and balances, and they invest your money on your behalf. The advantage is, some of us may know all of this, but I'm saying it for the benefit of, I can see that some people may not know all of it, so please bear with me, this is for the benefit of them, and it might refresh you as well. So what mutual funds, the advantages of mutual funds is that it will invest in stock markets, but you have someone professional who's trained to do this, invest on your behalf. The second advantage is, if you have 10,000 rupees to invest, and let's say if the share of Reliance is 1,000 rupees, you can only buy 10 shares of Reliance. You cannot diversify your portfolio. So if Reliance does well, you get good returns. If Reliance does not do well, you don't get good returns. So your risk is not diversified. So if 100 people put 10,000 rupees each in a mutual fund, it could be, I think, 1 crore or 10 lakhs. That's a big amount. So the fund manager can buy 25 different companies and invest on all of our behalf. So when the returns come, they will be distributed equally. So if one company does extremely well, or if one company does extremely badly, the performance of the remaining 24 companies in which the mutual fund has invested would even out the performance. Generally, people say that if you in the last 25 years, and there are some studies which have been done, in the last 25 years, if you invest in an SIP for 7 years, in any given point of time, so you could start on August 5th, 1995 and invest till August 5th, 2002, 7 years, you could pick any 7-year horizon in that 25-year window, you would never lose money. Is that clear? You would never lose money if you put NYST, but you should invest at least for 7 years. Any day you can pick. And your returns could vary anywhere from 8% a year to 15%, in some cases 20%. Okay? That's the advantage of SIP. The second advantage of SIP is, because you're investing systematically, just like we saw in the morning. We give intentionally, we give systematically. If you save and invest systematically, if you do it month after month after month, you don't have to worry about are you investing at a high price or are you investing at the low price. How much is the Sensex today? Does anyone know? 18,000. 18 plus. But it has touched a peak of 21,000. So if you had invested at the peak 21,000, your investment will today be worth 18,000. How do you know 21,000 was the peak? You don't know. Okay? So while SIP over the last 25 years has never given negative returns in a 7-year window, can you be sure, does that mean that in the next 25 years, if you invest, you will never make a loss? No. Okay? So in the next 25 years, if you invest 1,000 rupee at 20%, 1,000 rupees a month, you could get a 20% return, you could get a 40% return, you could also have your capital wiped out by half. It is unlikely, okay, but it is possible. It is very much in the realm of possibility. Okay? One of the things we learned, one of the verses we saw is, how do you know about the future? Don't say, let's go to a city, let's start a business, let's build a home. What is the verse that said? Say, if the Lord wills. Okay? So how do you know the investment you make in an SIP? Last 25 years was good. We are learning the lesson today. So tomorrow I decide to invest. How can you be sure you will get good returns? Let's say we have average expectations. Let's say we want 12% return, which is very aggressive, by the way. Let's assume we want 12% return, not 20%, which mutual funds could promise you. How do you know that your mutual fund investment will give you 12% and not wipe out your capital by 50%? When I say wipe out your capital, remember one example, we saw 4.8 lakh which was invested, you will get back 2.4 lakh. It is possible, even in a systematic investment plan. It is possible. Okay? How do we know that it will not be wiped out and we will get good returns? How do we know? We don't know. Pardon? It is very difficult. So I'm going to tell you what no wealth manager will tell you. Okay? Any portfolio you build, there is one way to be absolutely sure. Guaranteed. You have to add something to your asset allocation portfolio. You have to add faith to your portfolio. Yeah? We looked at mutual funds. What is the safest investment? People tell me here. What is the safest investment? PPF. Okay, let's look at the case of PPF. Why do you say PPF is safe? It's a government. So government is safe. Okay. The government of Iceland went bankrupt. Least unsafe. The government of Iceland went bankrupt about a year ago. Many banks lost money. Argentina was bankrupt some years ago. You remember the crisis with the television news footage? People would go into the shops, break it open, take the things and run away. Because the entire country was in chaos. Okay? I'm told in one country, Ravi Zacharias kind of spoke at a meeting. So he took the currency of an African nation, Zimbabwe. He showed me a 10 million Zimbabwean dollar note. Have you anyone seen a 10 million note? That's how much the currency had depreciated. I'm told, I don't remember the exact detail, that in one country, I think during the World War, people who take home their salary in wheelbarrows because the currency had depreciated so much. They would take home the currency in wheelbarrows. So imagine taking your salary because that many notes were there, because it had become worthless, valueless. So PPF, there is no absolute guarantee. It's a good investment. It's the safest, best return investment today, 8%. Okay? Yes, somebody has got a note. Excellent. What note is this? $50 billion. Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. Wow. Wow. Is this a real note or a? It's a real note. Wow, I'm rich. I didn't know my sermon in the morning was so powerful. Imagine someone walking up and giving $50 billion. Yeah. This is real. It's a $50 billion note, Zimbabwean government. Thank you. Sunil, right? Thank you, Sunil. Oh, we should give him a hand. We should give him a hand. Imagine. Yeah, excellent. Okay, I think that's really made the point. Governments are not safe. Okay? Insurance. Is insurance safe? Is LIC safe? Forget the others. Okay? I'll tell you something about LIC. When there is a crisis in the stock market, okay? This is real. I'm a journalist. So you don't believe everything that's written in the media, but believe what I tell you. When the stock market falls, hugely, it's happened before, the finance minister of India, the former finance minister of India, Mr. Chidambaram, will pick up the call. He will call Mr. T.S. Vijayan, who is the chairman of LIC. Mr. Vijayan is a believer. He will call Mr. Vijayan and says, investment climate in the country needs to be guarded. Okay? We cannot have panic. So take LIC money and invest. Where is LIC money coming from? You and me. Invest. Now, 99.9999% of the time, because LIC is long term, it has a huge corpus, it has the ability to weather that. Let's assume the Sensex is at 40,000 points 2 years down the line. And there is a huge world economic crisis. It has happened. The depression of 1929, huge depression. We have seen that in the past. Now, if the LIC, which as it has always done in the last 10 years, chooses to put money at 40,000 points in the Sensex 2 years down the line, and in the next 10 years the Sensex drops to 18,000 or 10,000 and never recovers, there will not be any bonus in the LIC policy that you and I have. Nothing. Okay, I don't know about what will be the impact on capital. I don't know what a sovereign guarantee that LIC. Capital, you will get it back if the government is there. Right? You will get it back. Because, see, LIC's capital is, I think, 100 crore or something. Very small amount. Because it has a sovereign guarantee under it. Okay, which says the government will say, if something happens, I will step in, but the government should be there. Yeah, how can you be sure? I mean, there have been democracies which have gone into a dictatorship. Right? We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen in 20 years. Okay? So, LIC's insurance also cannot give you guaranteed return. Okay? Anyone wants to try any other safe investment? Post office, same sovereign guarantee. Right? Everything. Bank. I can tell you how many banks have gone bust in the US. ICICI Bank. Okay, one good bank. There was a run on its deposits 3 years ago. How many of us remember? I know people in my office who rushed and withdraw everything from the ATM. They are journalists. They know that the RBI will not allow a bank like ICICI to go down under. But there was a run. There were queues outside the ATM. Stranger things have known to happen. Okay? Investing in gold and silver. Gold prices can, tomorrow there might be a nice, bright young graduate here who can make gold out of leather shoes. Old shoes you give, he'll give you back gold. Commodity, yes. So 20 years, you never know. Gold has been safe for the last 2,000 years or how many ever years. Will it be safe for the next 40 years? We don't know. You can never be absolutely sure. So I will tell you, whatever your investment strategy is, this is something I have come to learn in the last 1 month. I have researched all kinds of investments. Okay, looking at the absolutely safe way, and I found the only safe way is faith. Add faith to your portfolio. Okay, that's rule number 1. We have to invest in faith. Okay? Let me give you a couple of things. Why do we save? Why do we save? Okay? Emergencies in the future, for the children and all of that. Okay? Let me tell you, the prime reason we save is you're going to get a sheet of paper which will come to you, which is a financial management prayer plan. All of us, everyone will get it at the end of the session. I'm going to read out something, just one paragraph from it. Saving. Just one sentence. We have a responsibility to save so that not just us, but even the larger family of believers are blessed during times of shortage. Okay? Our saving is not for us alone. Okay? Our saving is for the larger good of the community. Okay? That's very important. We save, so the answer was to take care of our future, to take care of our retirement. Okay? That's a good reason to save. But if I save, and if my security in life becomes my saving, is that good or is that bad? That is sin. That is as bad a sin as worshipping an idol. Because security and your saving, which you think is your security, has become your idol. You no longer believe God will meet all your needs, but you believe, I have been wise for the last 40 years. I came to the seminar when I was 20. Next 40 years I have saved. My savings will take care of all my needs. When we come to that space, we have sinned. Okay? Our savings can never be our security. Christ always has to be a security. Okay? How much savings is enough? How much savings is enough? Okay? Someone pointed out, you pointed out, what about inflation? Okay? Now, I went to a site where you can plan, if you earn so much today, and if you spend so much today, 60 years down the line, after retirement, you will need so much per month. And therefore, you have to save so much per month. In this calculation, they will assume a 7 or 8 or 9 or 10% inflation. Everybody knows what is inflation? Okay, price rise, food prices go up. So today, if 1 kg of onion costs 20 rupees, 60 years down the line, 1 kilo of onion will cost 250 rupees. Yeah, quite possible. So I did this exercise once. It told me that if I have to maintain my same standard of living 60 years down the line, I have to invest, I'm giving you a notional figure, but it's illustrative, 1,500 a month. At that point of time, my salary was 1,000 rupees a month. So even if I save all my salary, I don't give anything to God, I don't spend, I don't eat, I invest all my salary, current financial wisdom, good, it is logical, I'm not saying that's wrong, tells me my savings will not be enough. If you start at 20, it won't be enough. If you start at 40, it will be enough. It won't be. If you start at 60, it will not be enough. No amount of saving is absolutely enough. Just as I said, no amount of savings is safe. No investment is safe, and therefore you need faith. I'm now telling you, no amount of saving is enough. Okay? God forbid. Today, I don't know, a cancer surgery could cost 5 lakh. Tomorrow it could cost 50 crore. Right? Accident. Anything can happen. We are not in absolute control over our lives. So no amount of saving is enough. And I was thinking about this for the last 1 month and I got very scared. All of you feeling scared? Yeah, good. It's having the desired result. Feeling nervous. Okay? And then something hit me. And I was so blessed by that. I'll tell you what occurred to me. All this I was doing, and as I said, I'm almost out of my debt. A lot of things are done, everything. I'll be absolutely debt-free in a couple of months from now. And I'm thinking of saving and investing and looking at all these instruments. I'm researching all these instruments. And I was very confused. I shared that in the morning. My heart shifted, so I went and gave and make sure my heart was right. So I'm looking at doing all these calculations. So all this, I've done it about, maybe I visited this site maybe 10 times in the last 20 days. I'm working out all the numbers, if you so much is it enough, property so much is it enough, and then I kind of became slightly abnormal behavior. Okay, that's what my wife would say. All this was going on, and suddenly it hit me. I said, thank God, I have to plan for retirement only for this life. Christ has planned for my retirement for eternity. Christ has not only planned, He has paid the ransom for my retirement for eternity. Let's say I retire at 60 and I die at 80, or as I like to say, I go home at 80. 20 years is all I have to plan and prepare and pay for. And even in that 20 years, God is my provider. Christ has paid the price for my eternal retirement home called heaven. There will be work in heaven, but we will be resting in our work. It will be joyful work. It will be joyful work. Think about it. That just took away the anxiety from my heart. Okay? We're going to look at practical. It's good to look at mutual funds. There will be specific questions. We will answer those. It's good to consider all of these investments. It's good to invest. That's the whole point of this exercise. If you start saving early, you kind of finish, you save more. All of that we must do. But without faith, saving is sin. If our security comes from our saving, God is going to shake us up. Because as Rick Warren says, God is more interested in a character than in a comfort. So if we forget God because our security is from our savings, God can shake up our savings. Okay? That's the fundamental rule. We're going to look at some very practical rules. If you forget all of that, it's fine, but don't forget this. No investment is safe. So you have to add to your investment faith. No investment, no saving is enough. You have to add to that faith. That is hugely important. Okay? Is savings biblical? Okay. Yes. Does anyone feel, as Stanley was sharing yesterday, why save, give it all away, the poverty mentality? Does anyone feel like that? No one. Excellent. I'll kind of build the case for savings in quoting a couple of instances. In the time of Joseph in Egypt, there were 7 years of famine, followed by 7 years of abundance, followed by 7 years of famine. So 7 years of abundance, Joseph saved. Okay. Let's go back to creation. Does it rain every day? No, it rains only a few days. But what happens to the water? It's stored, right? In ponds, in rivers, nature has saving. God instituted saving in nature. Can God create a world where it rains every day? Of course God can create a world. God can create a world. There was no rain in the beginning. All the water was coming up from under the ground. Right? God can create. So God has kind of created nature in such a way that the rain that is poured out on the earth is saved for future use. Savings is very biblical. Savings is dangerous. Extremely dangerous. I told about how your security could become your savings, how your savings could become an idol. I'll give you one example. The Israelites came out of Egypt. Okay? And they built the tabernacle. Where did the tabernacle come from? The gold the Egyptians gave them. Would you call that savings? Yes. It's something they had accumulated, they had not spent, so it is savings. So the tabernacle of God was built from the savings of the Israelites. Everybody agrees? Logical, right? I mean, what you don't spend, what you have is your saving. So that is how the tabernacle was built. How was the golden calf built? How was it built? From their own gold. What is that gold? Savings. The same savings of the Israelites built the golden calf. The same savings of the Israelites built the tabernacle of God. Now tell me, savings, what is it for? It depends on our heart. And we know that the heart is deceitful beyond all things. Okay? So we need to guard our heart. A saving can be a big blessing, but it can also be a curse. Okay? Very important. Which is why without faith, savings is sin. Okay? Okay, let's go through. We're going to look at a few points. Very practical. One of the reasons we saw why people get into debt is that they have no backup plan in terms of crisis. We saw that as an example, margin money, right? If you don't keep a margin, we think 100 rupees I get, 100 rupees I spend, sudden emergency expenditure, we are in trouble, okay? The Bible has a lot to say. What does the Bible say about saving? Saving is a sign of wisdom, right? We've been seeing that over the last 2 days. In the house of the wise are stores of choice food and oil, but a foolish man devours all that he has. Okay? Saving during a season of plenty helps to tide over the season of scarcity. Don't worry if you're not able to take the notes. You will get a sheet of paper which has the answers to all the fill in the blanks in your book. So not to worry. Okay? Season of plenty helps you for scarcity. We saw the example of Joseph and how he helped the nation of Egypt tide over the famine. Okay? Unemployment, job losses, it is very real. Illnesses, it could happen to anybody. Okay? Death of a loved one. Death or major illness of a loved one. Travel expenses. Okay? If someone, sometimes our relatives pass away and we have to travel from one city to another just to be at the funeral because we've loved them all their lives. Education, the cost of an MBA has, I think, quadrupled in the last 3-4 years. And it's growing. So that's one big expense. We don't exactly know how much it's going to be. Repairs of a gadget. Okay? Saving is a duty of the parents. Okay? The Bible says that after all, children should not have to save up for their parents, but parents for their children. So since children are a gift from God, it is our responsibility. We have a responsibility to save for our children. The Bible says if anyone does not provide for his immediate family, he's worse than an unbeliever. That's what the Bible says. So we have a duty as parents to provide for our children. The Bible clearly says that. Saving to provide for your family is actually a sign of faith. Okay? It's actually a sign of faith. In this particular case, there's this person who's trying to, escape and walk away from the responsibility he has towards his parents, and Jesus intervenes there. And saving is actually a sign of faith. Okay? Saving should be done regularly and diligently. I think that's a big, we saw that. And I would add one more thing, saving has to be done early as well. If you start early, it is very good. The plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty. Dishonest money dwindles away, but he who gathers money little by little makes it grow. I really like this verse. Little by little. 1,000 rupees a month is good. Little by little, and God will make it grow. Okay? Not investing, we've seen this earlier. Not investing is a sign of laziness and wickedness. The parable of the talents is a good example. Which is why the last 2 months I've been getting very anxious. So if I don't invest and save the spare money, the abundance that I have wisely, I am not being a good steward. And this is what I've been trying to explain to my wife the last 1 month. Why am I anxious? I'm anxious because I have to be a good steward of what God has deposited me with. If I'm not a good steward, if I just put it in some bank account, something somewhere is there, and not even taking care of it, that is a sign of laziness and wickedness. Okay? We've looked at kind of savings. We've discussed a few instruments. There are low interest, high interest, low, medium, high risk, short term, long term. In the case study that we had, there was this couple who have an aspiration to buy a home in the next 3 to 4 years. So when they plan to invest, they should not invest in a pension plan. At least they should not invest all their savings in a pension plan, because a pension plan, you will get the money only when you're 60. And even when you're 60, you will not get the full money. You can only take 1/3 of the cash that is accrued in the pension plan. The remaining 2/3 will be given to you, will be converted into annuity, and it will be given to you as a pension per month. You cannot get hold of that money. It's your money, you've saved it for 40 years, good, but you will not get it. You will only get it as a monthly income. So when if you invest in a pension plan, if you invest only in a pension plan, there's one group I think which picked a pension plan, be aware that these are the limitations of a pension plan. Pension plan is a good product. I'm not saying don't invest, I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying be aware of these limitations of a pension plan. So this couple which wants to buy a home, and these days we know down payment is quite high, they need to have liquid cash. So for them, perhaps bank FD is a better investment, even though it's giving only perhaps 5% post-tax return if you're in the 30% tax bracket. But that's fine, because 2 years they need to be liquid, because when they see a flat they like and they can afford, they'll have to make the down payment quickly. Okay, periodic investment and one-time investment. Saving for reducing taxes. If you invest in a home loan, interest up to 1.5 lakh can be set off against your total income. So your effective interest rate actually comes down. Now if you're investing in property as an investment, and if you rent that property out, this 1.5 lakh ceiling goes away. That means if you're paying 10 lakh as interest, you can take that 10 lakh minus the rent you're getting, and the remaining amount can be set off against your salary. So investing in property, your real effective interest rate on a loan you're taking to invest in the property can be very low. So we need to be wise and aware of tax saving instruments that are available to us. So effective rate can come down to 4%. Depending on the value of the property, the rent you get, and the EMI that you're paying. So effectively, on an 8% home loan, your real rate of interest adjusted for tax saved is only 4%. And property could appreciate 10%, 15%, 8%, good appreciation property over a long period of time. So it's a very good investment. So sometimes people say a second home is a good investment. Okay, so when you become rich and when you sign the giving pledge, you can give away 50% of your income. Keep one home and give the other. I was just joking. Okay? Praise God. I believe people from India will sign that pledge. Amen? Amen. Amen. Okay. Invest early. We saw that with a very good actual real illustration. We saw the difference that 20 years can make. Make a difference of 25 lakh to 25 crore. Okay? This is a chart which actually shows the benefit of investing early. Here we've assumed 1,000 rupees invested for 10 years and this man stops investing. There we've assumed he starts investing in the 11th year but invests for 14 years, and look at the difference in the amount. This is 45 lakh and that is only 27 lakh. So if you start early, even if you stop, you still get more if you start late. Okay, that's the advantage of investing early. There are many investment options. Some practical suggestions we're going to look at. First, diversify your investments. If you're putting FD, don't put all fixed deposits in one bank. If you're putting in an systematic investment, let's say you have 20,000 to invest in a systematic investment plan, don't put it in one systematic investment plan. Put it in 4 different mutual funds. Okay? If you're investing in, let's say you have 25,000 to invest in a pension plan, perhaps you should look at 2 pension plans. Perhaps. Any investment, if you're looking at insurance policy, see if you can have more than one insurance policy. It is good to diversify. That is what the wealth manager tells you. That is also what the Bible tells you. Ecclesiastes chapter 11 verse 2. Give portions to 7, yes to 8, for you do not know what disaster may come upon the land. So don't put all your eggs in one basket. Very important, right? You need to diversify. Even if it's safe, fixed deposit, diversify. Okay? PF was one example. If you put money in PF, it's safe. Till 2 months ago, the government was thinking of a new rule called EEE. The current norm is EEE, which is investment PF is exempt. Exempt at the time of investing, exempt on the interest earned, exempt at the time of to getting the cash. They have seriously considered, and they didn't go ahead with it, to go into EET, which is exempt. You're investing money, that amount can be set off against your tax. You earn interest, that is also exempt. At 60, your retirement money has come to about 1 crore. You go to take it, the government says, excuse me, tax, 30%, 70 lakhs is what you get. Loss can change. Okay? So don't invest all in PF. Spread it around. That's the benefit of diversifying your investigation. Pitfalls to be avoided. I personally don't invest in stocks for two reasons. A, because of ethical reasons. I'm a business journalist. I have interview CEOs on a regular basis. I might get access to insider information, and I might be tempted to use that for my unfair gain. So I personally don't invest in stocks. I'm not saying, there's a question that was asked, I would never say investing in stocks is wrong. All I would say is invest in stocks if you're absolutely certain you will not be enslaved by it. Let me tell you one thing. Let's say you invested 10,000 in stocks. In 6 months, the stock has tripled to 30,000. Will it affect your emotions? Yeah? Then every day you start 30,000. Now today 32,000. Tomorrow 31,500. So in a sense you become addicted to it. Now at the same time, let's say you invested 30,000. That has become 10,000 rupees in 2 months. Possible. Will it affect your emotions? Yes. Okay? So you need to kind of guard your heart. Make sure your investment does not enslave you. It does not become your idol. Okay? As long as you have that, absolutely no problems, invest in stock. But prudences, don't invest all your money in stocks. I think that group was made a very wise choice. They said 30% in mutual funds, correct? 30% in pension funds, 10% in stocks. Okay? That is good. One more question was asked yesterday. Is day trading good? Everyone know what is day trading? Yeah? So you get into the stock market. It's speculation. You get into the stock market. You trade on the stocks. You may not actually buy the share, but you kind of buy, sell, sell, buy. Is it good or is it bad? That was the question that was asked. Let me give you some answers. I'll give you one real case study. There was a man who saved all his life. He was not a believer. I read about this in a column called Mint, in a magazine called Mint, in a newspaper called Mint, which all of us have copies. It is not in that particular book, another column. This man, he saved all the days, very diligent. He put his money only in fixed deposits, safe instruments. He retired. I don't remember the exact numbers, so the numbers I'm telling you are illustrated. So he got 25 lakhs. So he took this at the time of retirement. So he took 24 lakhs at the time of retirement, parked it in very good, safe investments, and he retired. And he told his wife, I have done my duty. See, this is how we have planned our finances. 24 lakhs is what I've kind of accumulated over the years as a retirement child. 24 lakhs, this is where I've invested. Allow me to do what I want with this 1 lakh. His wife said, okay. So he took that 1 lakh and he became a day trader. He used that 1 lakh as capital to buy, sell stocks, buy, sell. It was his retirement. He does not have a regular job. Okay? Hard work. So 1 lakh, which is 1 out of 25, very small portion, he traded he did a lot of day trading. He became hugely successful. That 1 lakh became a lot of money. I don't remember the exact amount. It became a lot of money. Now tell me, is day trading right or wrong? Why? But his limit is he's cut it off at 1 lakh. So if he loses, he loses. He's kept his net loss at 1 lakh. 24 lakhs is safe. If he's not enslaved. Excellent. Excellent. If he's not enslaved, why is it wrong? I think that's an excellent answer. I think there are no rules. In faith, we live in a place of grace. There are no rules. And I make my judgment for myself. I will never judge another person. Okay? Let's look at this example some more. We looked at in one thing, how our work has to, this is one example. So do we agree that it's not wrong? Yeah, because he's been wise, 24 lakhs, and he knows something about stocks, so he's kept 1 lakh aside. Okay. Let's take another man, a 30-year-old man who he's working he's working in an engineering company, and he wants to get rich quick. He's not happy with fixed deposit 8%, 7.5%. He's not happy with PPF. He's not happy with SIP of 20%. He wants a 50% return. So he gets into day trading. During office, most offices have internet connectivity. He logs on to the trading site at his office and he day trades. Is that sin? Is that good or wrong? Of course it is sin. It's wrong. Okay. So day trading in itself, right? So that's the way we plan our investments. I'll give you one more example. When you want to buy a share in a stock market, is it good or wrong? Is it right or wrong? It's right. I mean, as long as you follow those principles, there's nothing wrong against it. How is there liquidity in the stock market? When I say liquidity, when you want to buy a share, someone has to sell. What if there is no one to sell? You can't buy the share. So what happens in the speculation that is happening in the market creates the liquidity for the market. The day traders who buy and sell shares without actually having the shares are making a market. It's called market making in some ways. So what they do is they provide liquidity to genuine investors like you, so they are also serving you. They are part of God's economy. We saw that bread example. How does bread come to a table? Now, there are many bread manufacturers which are listed companies. Okay? In these listed companies, there are day traders. Absolutely nothing wrong. So it's not this or that. It's the principle behind it which is very important. The important is never be enslaved by your desire to get rich. Okay. Beware of investments with a high risk factor. I think we need to be very, very careful. I'll give you a couple of examples. How many of us remember the teak schemes? Teak plantations. Yeah? What happened to them? Gone. Okay? Any time someone comes and tells you, if you invest 1,000 rupees, you will get back 5,000 rupees, but you have to invest in the next 3 days. Only so many options are open. If you miss the 3 days, you will not get it. The moment he says that, say bye. None of those. The moment he says it's a great investment, absolutely safe, but only 3 more days left, only 3 more months left, you have to invest now. You say get out now. Do not entertain. Those are not for real. The second thing I'll tell you, God makes our wealth grow little by little. Let's say I'm worth 5 lakhs now. Okay? Let's say theoretically. God will never make me worth 5 crore in 1 year. Why? Because I will not have the wisdom and the ability to handle 5 crore. God may make me worth 5 crore. 10 years down the line, He'll take me from 5 lakhs to 7 lakhs, 7 lakh to 8 lakh. Along the way, I learned the maturity to handle it. Otherwise, I'll be like a monkey with a new toy. That is me. That is me. I mean, that is what I am. You give me a new toy, we just don't know how to use it. God will never, ever, I hope I'm correct, help a believer win a lottery ticket. Right? It could happen, but that's not the ideal way, because I don't learn the maturity to handle that investment. To be a good steward, I need to be faithful with a few things. As I'm faithful, God will make me faithful and more. So get rich quick is not biblical. Okay? Yeah, you're made to feel like only a few are getting this opportunity. You're one of them. No, don't believe any of that. They say no chance of risk. Even government, there is risk. They say no risk of loss. It is not real. Okay. Pitfalls to be avoided. The cost of maintaining an investment. This is one big negative for stock market investments. The cost of maintaining a stock market investment is very high. When I say cost, I don't mean financial cost, I mean time cost. If you're investing, let's say, in a company, and if you say, no, I don't care, it's okay if it doesn't bring, that is a wrong attitude. If I have made an investment, it is not my money. How would you like it if your mutual fund investor says, I've invested, I don't care whether it goes up or goes down? You wouldn't like it, would you? So if you do that, God is not going to like it. We are stewards, we are not owners. So if you make a stock investment, you have a responsibility to track what is that company doing. Right? If a company, what are the results, the quarterly results you'll have to take care. Is that company making an acquisition which is not healthy? Right? Sesa Goa decided to invest in Kane because Vedanta, the promoter, was buying. So Sesa Goa shareholders were very unhappy. If you invested in Sesa Goa, you have to start tracking those investments, which means you have to watch business news for 1 hour a day, read all the papers, read all the magazines. That's how we exist, journalists. Right? That's the cost of maintaining the investment. Do you have that time? Are you able to incur that cost? That is important. So consider the cost of investment. Like ULIPs were very popular some time ago. When ULIPs were sold, they did not tell you that if you end your ULIP, terminate a ULIP plan in 3 years, you will lose 50% of your investment. It was a big crisis. SEBI had to intervene, IRDA has to intervene, the government had to intervene, and they changed the complete rule of ULIPs. ULIPs are unit-linked investment plans. Okay, so that's broadly what we had. We will have a time of questions. We'll break for tea now, if tea is ready, and we'll have probably do one more session very quickly, and then we'll have a good 1 hour for question and answer session. So one exercise which we could do now or as homework, 3 steps each of us could take to invest and save more wisely. I'm sure you have questions. Write them down so that you don't forget. If you write the question right away, you can give it to someone, Rahul, or you could give it to one of us. So we will try and answer that as best as we can.
What we feel is that we will start with the Q&A session and see how much time is left over to do anything balanced that needs to be done. So if you have any question and answers, we would be happy. All right, here comes one. Okay. Is it advisable to take loans and invest in shares? Credit card companies are offering loans, maybe 10 to 12% per annum. By using this amount, can we invest? What is the answer? All right. If anybody has difficulty, contact them. Yeah, I think it is very clear, but now end of this lesson, that first of all, credit card companies will have difficulty giving you loans for 10 or 12%. Secondly, you are putting in shares with the view that shares might give you 15, 20, whatever. You never know, and it could go up, it could go down, and at the end of the story, you are now in double problem. So it is best not to take loans and then do it. Generally, you should avoid loan like leprosy as far as possible.
Just to add to that, during the break, someone walked up to me and said, I've invested in mutual funds and I have lost money. Okay? The mutual funds today are being seen as good investments. They are good, but we must understand the risk of capital loss is there. So if you're taking a loan to invest in shares, the loan capital, there is no loss. You have to repay it fully. The share can become half of what you've invested. So it's very risky, not advisable at all. The second question is, does manipulation take place in the share market? It takes place every day, many times a day, in many shares, by many people. There is no doubt about that. Right? Forget market people. I know journalists who've been, disciplined by SEBI and sacked by the company because they were part of manipulating share prices. So it happens every day.
How good is new pension scheme in terms of how it can perform in comparison with other pension schemes?
Okay, I'll take the question. The book that you got yesterday explains the new pension scheme in great detail. It's a good product, but let me also share the limitations. I don't understand it fully. I have some sense, but let me tell you. One problem with the new pension scheme is that so far it is the government employees who have used it a lot more. And if you take number of non-government employees who have subscribed to the new pension scheme, it's very limited. Okay, it's a very small number because it is not being distributed well, etc. The reason it is not being distributed is the cost, the fund management cost is very low. So there is some talk the government is considering of increasing that a little bit to ensure that that scheme is marketed better. New pension scheme is a good product, but you'll have to read the finer details. It's something you should consider, and the book that has a lot of finer details, but you must know that non-government employees so far have not invested too much in the new pension scheme. So I hope that answers the question. In comparison with other pension schemes, I don't have all the details, but I think that book will give you some idea. Pension schemes, it's very, very important, hugely important to read the fine print in a pension plan. Okay? Because A, you're going to get your money 20 years down the line. It's very difficult to predict the economic environment. And B, even 20 years, as I said, only 30% of the maturity amount you get in cash. The remaining 2/3 will come to you only as monthly pension. How much you get for how long, all of that you can you can decide. That is one very important thing. Second thing about pension schemes, these days pension schemes offer you the option of playing around with the asset allocation. What I mean is that you could say today, okay, the pension fund should invest 50% in debt, 50% equity. Tomorrow you can say 70% in debt, 30% equity. Day after tomorrow you can change your mind and say 10% in equity, 90% in debt, right? It gives you those options. So pick an option where you don't, as saying earlier, don't get too caught up with that. Okay? Pension fund is not an investment you monitor on a daily basis. It's a long-term investment. Absolutely important, you know what you will get. And you read every single line in the fine print. Even if it takes 1 week, read it. Do not invest without reading the fine print.
Okay. I have a question for you just to what you said just now. For the sake of the camera, as well as perhaps a few people, they may not fully be able to unpack your statement saying invest 30% in equity and 70% in debt. They might mistake what you mean by debt and what we have been talking about debt. So can you just give two lines on each of those?
Okay. I'll explain. See, what any wealth manager would recommend is that a person has to invest considering two things. He has to look at risk and he has to look at return. If I'm 25 years old and I have 1 lakh to invest, I have 35 more earning years left. So I have the ability to take a little more risk. Now, in all investments, there is one simple rule which can never be changed. If the risk is high, the possibility of return is high. Okay? If the risk is low, the possibility of return is also low. So bank deposit, low risk, low return. Investment in shares, high risk, high return. Okay? So if you're 25 and you can earn for 35 more years and you have 1 lakh to invest, you have the ability to take more risk. So even if this 1 lakh is wiped out fully, it's okay because you can kind of still earn. You know, you don't have to kind of, it's not disaster for you. Having said that, you should still be prudent and mix your investment. I'll come back to that in a minute. On the other hand, if you're 60 and you have 10 lakhs to invest, please do not touch any high risk investment, because for the next 20 years of your life, you have to live on the return that is going to come from the investment. Okay? So absolutely safe. Your risk profile, you cannot take any risk whatsoever. Okay? That's a broad principle. When you're younger, you can take little more high risk investments. When you're older, stay away from high risk investments. Okay? Now, what are high risk investments? What are low risk investments? When you say equity, I mean shares. Everyone, all of us know what shares in the stock market are. You can buy shares directly. You can invest in mutual funds, which will invest in turn in the share market on your behalf. Now, mutual funds shares are equities. They are little more risk. There is risk of capital loss. So when you're younger, if you have 100 rupees to invest, maybe 20 rupees you could put in a mutual fund, maybe 20 rupees in a pension plan, fixed deposit 50% because you might need to invest in a home, etc. So a young person will have more high risk investments and less low risk investments. And when I say debt, it means fixed deposits. There are debt funds. What a debt fund will do is will take your money and invest it in the fixed deposit of many companies and banks and government on your behalf. So that is debt. Debt is an investment in fixed deposits of banks and companies that is done on your behalf by the debt fund. Is that clear? The question was, new pension scheme has attracted only government employees. Why is that? Why is there a problem? Okay. The problem is that the cost of the scheme has been kept very low. Okay, almost zero cost. And therefore, people have not been able to go out and sell that pension scheme in the market, which means they have not been able to advertise, for example. Okay, they have not been able to distribute. When you say distribute, the government can't sit in Delhi and say, I have a pension fund, buy. It has to be available in every bank, it has to be available in every investment outlet and all of that. So that has not been done. The product has not been promoted yet. It's still in very early days. I'm not saying there is a problem with the fund. I'm saying this is a fact about the fund as things stand now. for you to know if the fund, acceptability is an issue. So that's just a factor that needs to be considered. That is all. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the fund. It's a good fund. The exact details is difficult to kind of go through in a session like this. And I haven't read all the fine print, but that book that we've given to all of us has some details. He might be able to add. If you could pass the mic to that person behind you. Thank you.
0.2%, I suppose. And other companies, they're charging 1.3% for normal fund management charge. From this fund management charge, FMC, the salary of the fund manager will be paid from that. The same day, all the costs.
Could you speak louder?
Okay, all the costs which is coming from this fund management charge, and this 0.2 is too low. For the same way, it will be difficult to get fund managers, those are competent in the market.
Thank you.
Because obviously they will be going for good companies where they are getting much paid. So performance in that way can be affected.
Thank you. Let me explain that for the benefit of everyone. The fund management fee, which is if I invest 100 rupees, if the fund management fee is 1%, 1 rupee, the fund manager, which is the person who's managing the fund, will take that 1 rupee as his charge. From that 1 rupee, which is collected from so many people across so much money, he will pay the salary of the fund manager he hires. So the point he was making is, in a new pension scheme, the fund management fee is very small. So you may not be able to get a good fund manager to manage your money. So you will get only an average. Obviously, if you need a good person, the salary is higher, which this fund may not be able to pay. So that could be one disadvantage of the fund. Is that clear? Yeah, I have one more. Let me finish this and then come. We'll go in the order in which the questions come in. How do you know you are being underpaid and when you need to be rational and switch a job? Okay. Okay, I'm going to try and answer this like, there are two questions. When do I change a job? How do I know if I'm underpaid? Okay. I know one thing, and I can say with absolute certainty, we will never be paid fairly. Yeah, I mean not from our expectations, but no, we cannot forget the fact that we live in a fallen world. There are two reasons why I say we will never be paid fairly. First, we live in a fallen world. This world is not perfect. Okay, I was sharing this yesterday, but we are going to inherit a world which is perfect. Okay, we are hope-based creatures. We have the hope as believers which only we do because of what Christ did on the cross. We are going into a world where you will get paid absolutely perfectly. Okay, that's the first reason. We will never be paid perfectly. It's a fact of life. We've got to learn to live with it. Second, the Bible says, just as we are called to believe in Christ, we are also called to suffer like Him. Unjust suffering is very much part of a believer's life. We've got to learn to live with it. It is very much part. I don't know any believer who has not endured unjust suffering in his life. Okay, that builds character, and God allows us, because through that unjust suffering, we demonstrate the aroma of Christ to those around us. Okay, so job, I've worked hard, I've put more effort than others. Everybody else has got an increment. I have not got an increment. Okay, it will happen. Everybody else has got a promotion. I have not got a promotion. So in this world, we will have trouble. It is never going to be perfect, but we are able to endure it. We are able to walk through it because we know, as believers, we are going to live in a perfect world. I think it's very important that in our faith, we sometimes limit the scope of our faith. We have to include a revelation of the new heaven and the new earth into our faith, and that helps us live better today. That's the first thing. Those are the two things. There will be unjust suffering. So if you are underpaid, am I underpaid? Very high chances that you are. Okay, that's a fact of life. Should I change jobs? Again, as I said, I will only give principles. I have changed jobs in the past. Let me give you one example. I left Outlook Business and I joined Economic Times. The reason I changed that job was when Economic Times offered me a job, I told them I would like to work only 4 days a week. If that is acceptable, I would like to join. In my previous organization that may not have been possible, and they allowed me to do that, and I felt that was the right thing to do because it gives me a lot more time to do things like what I am doing today. So that's one reason why I changed jobs. Is it okay to change jobs for a higher salary? It is okay to change jobs for a higher salary because God does open up opportunities, provided you don't keep changing jobs for higher salaries every 3 months. Provided your higher salary is not your only goal in life. All of us have needs and God provides. God does provide for our needs to the companies that we work for through our salaries. So opportunities do come. This world, there are a lot of opportunities. So it is okay to change jobs for a higher salary, provided it is a legitimate expectation. We are not enslaved by the desire to earn more and more. But there are some conditions we should broadly keep in mind. Okay, there is value in being loyal to your employer. I think that is a good virtue, and that demonstrates that's what makes the difference between us believers who have faith in Christ and others who don't. So I think that is important. Two, if you're in the middle of an unfinished project, even if someone offers, or if you made a commitment to your boss or to your organization saying, I will see this project through, to change a job, even if someone offers you double your salary, may not be the right thing to do. So some broad principles.
Just to add is that also some people have felt it necessary that they need to change their jobs, but they have told their boss, I'm not running away, I will train someone else and only then I will go. So their loyalty is still seen in the way they train someone else up. Can we think of saving while we are amidst chronic debt but able to pay it? I think he mentioned it rather a bit in passing, but he said even when we are in debt, even when we are in crisis, it is good to start doing some saving, because here all the more because it says we are able to pay it. So that is a valid factor, and so some amount of saving, because while you are serving your debt, you need some buffer amount as well. You need a margin, because there could be, amidst your debt, there could be another crisis and you could end up again taking a big loan. So better to have a small margin of saving which will enable you to survive.
Okay. The first question you may take, the rest I will take.
For all loans, you need someone to sign as a guarantee for you. How do you balance that with what is written in the book of Proverbs? Well, I did try to attempt to answer yesterday evening, but I'll attempt to answer it again. Perhaps repeat that. I think there are 3 references which are given for us in the Bible, which are quoted in your book, about not standing as a surety for anyone else while they are taking a loan. Because I told you stories of how people were under duress when that person could not pay back the loan. The bank served notices to the concerned surety, and because they had put their house on the line, so they were in difficulty because their house could be confiscated. But going by the Bible verse, it says, don't stand a surety, it says. I said the only way you can stand a surety is if you are a well-off person, and suppose you are a well-off who you have got sufficient wealth for you to survive and tide over every possible situation, and you have some leftover, and you are standing as surety in case they can't pay and some X amount of money goes off and you can still survive, sign as a surety, not a problem. The other possibility is, I mentioned when I took a loan for my house, it was a small amount, 2.57 lakhs, and the bank wanted a surety, and I said, I don't like to take a surety. Is there any other way? And they said, well, do you have an LIC policy? And they asked me 2-3 things, and I said, I have a LIC policy, which was worth 2 lakhs. So said, you bring that. I brought that, and they made me sign at the back of the policy saying, I surrender this policy to the finance company. In case I'm unable to pay and there is any problem, they would be able to, when it matures, they'll be able to take the cash and use it to compensate for any loss. Fortunately, I was able to pay all my EMIs, and the property has been cleared, and they returned that LIC policy to me. But that LIC policy served, instead of a surety of some other person, it saved as a surety for my own self.
The next question is in the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad. The author says, do not take your house as an asset, especially if it is not an investment and you're still paying an EMI. What are your comments? Good question. I'll respond to it in 2 ways. I'll give you 2 examples. A has a home which is on a home loan. He's paying an EMI of 10,000 a month. The home is earning a rent of 12,000 a month, and he has one more year of the EMI to pay before the loan finishes because the house was bought 19 years ago. Should you consider that as an asset? Of course, yes, because the house is probably worth 30, 40 lakhs. The EMI outstanding is maybe just 1 lakh, so it does count as an asset. Now, take the example of person B. He has just bought a home, let's say for 50 lakhs, and he's taken a loan of 90%, 45 lakhs, and he's just started paying the EMI. Should he count that as an asset? He should not count that as an asset because it's still a loan. That is one example. The second question which is asked, which is addressed is a home an asset at all? Because when I retire, if a home is all I have, how am I going to live? So should I invest all my savings in property? Okay, to invest all your savings in property is also not wise, because a home is a good security to have. You can live in a home, but you still need a pension for the food you eat and other incidental expenses. Okay, so that's one way to look at it. It's good to invest in other. Now let me also kind of give you a little bit of some new financial instruments that could come to India at some point of time. Perhaps there are some companies which already offer it. It's called a reverse mortgage. Okay, it's a reverse mortgage. So if you're 60 and the home is all you have, you could put your home on a reverse mortgage. Just like you take a loan, right? They will give you some amount every month. It's a reverse mortgage in return for your home. So after a certain number of years, or when you pass away, the home will become theirs. Or it depends on how the deal is structured. There could be many, but it is an option that's available. May be available in the future. I have heard that 20% is a good amount to save from your income. Is this 20% after you pay your EMIs? As I keep saying all through this seminar, there are no rules. We will not tell you any rules. And if you've wrongly misunderstood, 20% is not a rule. We have told you. Okay. Some groups put together say 20% is good. Now you might decide 25% is good, 30% is good, 10% is good. That's your call. There are no rules, and we will not kind of give you any rules. So before EMI, after EMI, again is a very subjective question. If you go back to the home loan example, after the first 10, 15 years, you could actually start considering your EMI as saving because the property value has appreciated. So there is some savings, some security that you have in the form of a home. So I think you'll have to think case by case basis. You could consult a few people, but the decision has to be yours. So whether it's 20% before EMI, after EMI, it's case by case basis in a subjective way.
Yeah, I think I would just say that whatever has been said, like 20%, 25%, is not a rule, but it's a guideline. Just rough guideline to just say, okay, let me just attempt something nearby. So that would be a guideline, not rather rule. Don't make it a rule. There is no such Bible verse, Luke chapter 18, verse 14. There's no such like that.
Yeah. The last question in this chit, what are good investments in the short term, say 5 years? I think it's difficult for me to kind of say any specific investments. As I said, there are several options. We've discussed several options. I would not recommend any investments. I would not recommend any investment from any company. I would not recommend any category also. Those are decisions you will have to take.
I would recommend investing in GMI.
Direct tax code. I wish direct tax code had been implemented in its original way. We would all salaried people would have been very happy because that gave some big tax breaks. So I don't remember the details. Let me pause. Maybe you could take that question. I could think if I can. I had a couple of thoughts. Maybe I could. Yeah.
This is also your forte. Okay. I'll read the question for you. Will day trading without sufficient knowledge of stocks be equivalent to gambling? Any guidelines for day trading?
Any guidelines for day trading? Okay. Tough one. Okay. Without sufficient knowledge of stocks. Okay. When I started my career as a business journalism, I used to really enjoy something called as technical analysis. Okay. Technical analysis is based on share price charts, okay, and at that point of time, I kind of get a big kick out of that. This was 94, 95. I was actually among very few people in the country who understood candlesticks charts. If you know what Japanese candlesticks are, okay. So I've done a lot of I used to write a column on technical analysis for the paper I used to work for at that point in time. So if you're doing technical analysis is a science, and there is some substance to the science. So if you're making an investment decision based on a technical analysis, it doesn't matter whether the company you're investing is making sugar or cement. Doesn't matter. If you're able to read your charts well, you could invest. There's absolutely nothing wrong. But there are some conditions, broad conditions. A, day trading, I don't day trade. I don't invest in shares. I've made that disclosure. I may not day trade. Personally, I may not, because it is very intense. Right? Let me kind of relate it to my field. In news, if you get a news break before everybody else, you are the hero of the day. Right? People understand, right? So when you do that, there is an adrenaline rush, which is heady. And that is very dangerous. Elijah had that adrenaline rush after the encounter that he had, when God answered with fire. And immediately after that, we see, he kind of goes to a state, even thinks about suicide. Okay, the adrenaline rush, an emotional high after a job well done, and Sally and I, we were discussing another story, is a very vulnerable position to be in. And day trading, if you make 5 days on the trot gains, you can think you are the king of the world. Right? So it takes a lot of maturity. It takes a lot of caution. It takes a lot of checks and balances. You should clearly say, it's one thing to cut loss. It's another thing to cut your gain, to cap your gain. You say, if this is my goal, if I come to that, I will cap my goal. Okay? So, is it equivalent to gambling if you don't know what you're getting into? So if I say, take the example of technical analysis, I know absolutely nothing of the company I'm investing, but I know my charts, it's not gambling. Okay, it's a science. It's a fairly science with a lot of substance. On the other hand, I gave you the example, real story of this man who kind of retired, had 25 lakh, invested 24 lakh, and then spent that 1 lakh. Now, he made that choice. So I think in terms of, and we agreed that was not wrong. So does that answer the question? Plus, what percentage of my income am I investing? What stage in my life am I investing? Is it distracting my job? Am I enslaved by it? These are questions that you'll have to answer. If you make money, you're on a high. If you lose money, you're on a real low. So those are the dangers. As long as you're able to deal with those dangers, it's a call you will have to take. As I said here, there are no rules. We only give guidelines, principles, and we'll have to take those decisions. I hope any guidelines for day trading, I would have none. I've never day traded, so no guidelines at all. If I see a chart now, maybe I'll remember a few things from many years ago. There was one question you asked which I did not answer. Direct tax code. I think in direct tax code, the EET is gone, so it is still EEE. Beyond that, it doesn't come. Maybe if you can send me an email, I can send you some good links to articles. I'm not able to recollect specific things here.
What are the best mutual funds to invest in these days?
He recommended one, GMI. Yeah, so I can't answer that question.
Mutual funds also put their money in companies that have unethical policies. Yeah. What is the call on this?
Yeah. It's a very difficult one. It's a very difficult one. A good diversified mutual fund will invest in many companies. Okay? And that companies could include cigarette manufacturers. Okay? Let me turn the question around. Is it okay to work for an advertising agency which designs some of these advertising? Right? So it's a tough call. And I think we have to make our decisions based on our convictions. I am dealing with this particular issue at the moment. Unfortunately, at this moment, I was having this discussion with someone yesterday. There are funds called ethical funds. Globally, they are there. There are mutual funds which will invest with a biblical mandate. Okay? So they will not invest in companies which make abortion pills. They will not invest in companies which invest in liquor, make liquor or cigarettes. They are very clear. Islamic funds do exist in India even today. Okay, so for example, the Islam religion, I think, prohibits a whole set of things. So these funds invest in companies which kind of meet those requirements. Globally, Christian ethical funds do exist. I'm hoping and praying that such funds will come in. Okay, so it's your call, but if you choose not to invest in mutual funds because of this reason, let me give you some suggestions. When you invest in a diversified fund, you have no control over what they invest in. Okay, but you can choose to invest in an auto sector mutual fund. There, the fund manager is obliged to invest only in automotive companies. So you're clear about the ethical issues. But the risk of that fund is higher than a more diversified fund. If the auto sector does well, your fund will do well. If the auto sector does poorly, your fund will do poorly. There are IT funds, pharma funds, FMCG funds. You could take that. Those are options. You could still invest in mutual funds, but invest only in funds which you are sure do not invest in these companies. I'm not going to, kind of answer that directly, and it's an issue that I'm grappling with. I might decide on something, but I think it's a call that each of us will have to take.
You use it for what purpose? Because of that reason, we cannot stop investing in pharma companies.
No, I'm not saying we should stop investing in pharma companies. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's an issue I'm grappling with.
No, they're saying that way.
Oh, they're saying that way. Okay. Yeah, that's they're saying that.
Alcohol's, obviously, there is a...
Yeah. But I was listening to someone present to me statistics of the number of abortions that take place, and the number is mind-numbing. I mean, it's very sad, So which is why I feel very strongly about that. And because I feel very strongly, this is a personal choice I am making. It does not apply to anyone. I would really hesitate to invest in any fund which would invest in a pharma company. But that is me. Not everyone has to decide like that. But I think the objective in raising this, I want people to be aware that these possibilities do exist. We need to consider these possibilities. I would limit myself to that objective.
Okay, I'll take the next one. While being interviewed by your interviewer for a new job, will asking for a few things like Saturday, Sunday off for your church or ministry be the right thing to ask, or be considered rude? Or are we being too demanding? Should one just trust God to provide such jobs and refuse jobs that affect your ministry, even though they may pay much higher? All right? I will answer myself, then you can fill in the gaps. I think it is good for you to ask whatever jobs you're looking for, because you are running by a certain value system and you want to live your life by your value system. If you compromise on your value system, then you will have also a guilt that accompanies that value system. There are certain biblical priorities, and therefore to maintain the priorities, I think like worshiping God on Sunday would be a priority. Therefore having a Sunday off is crucial, but Saturday Sunday off is still better. You can have more family time or whatever, preparation time, ministry time, etc. And you want to do that, you can ask. And I think days are coming where people are willing. Now, as he put in his stake that I'm willing to work for 4 days a week, will you hire me? And they hired him. And so it is possible for you to ask, and it is not being considered rude. You can say, I have convictions, I have values, and whatever else. And I think it is good not to be tempted by higher pay, but compromising your values. Rather stick to your values, and the Lord will provide you whatever job may be there.
Okay. Yeah. The world is changing. There is something that God is doing in the workplace and among businesses. I shared about how rich people are giving away their wealth. I believe God is behind even those kind of initiatives. Okay, I'll give you a couple of examples. I think it is Infosys gives 7 days off to every employee to do social work. Okay, companies encourage that. So if you go and speak to your boss and say, and I came across a recent incident in which all the students in IIT Mumbai have pledged 1% of their salary to give back to IIT. Yeah. So these are all. Most of them would not be believers. Okay. So the world is changing. Companies are becoming more responsive to society. Okay, some time ago I was in a magazine called Outlook Business, which does a survey called India's Best Employers. The company which won the survey, HCL Technologies, has a policy called Employees First. It's a stated policy. They go to their customers even and tell them, you are second in our priority list. First in our priority list is employees. Companies are saying that and doing that. Now, if they are saying that and doing that, and if you happen to be an employee of this company, it is well within your rights to go and ask for a better work-life balance. What is a good work-life balance is not for them to determine, it's for you to determine. Whether you're happy and you can ask for a higher work-life balance.
There is also another brother, Clive from Vasai, and he asked his boss whether he could work 3 days a week from his house, and his boss has agreed. Because he stays in Vasai and he works in Chembur. That's quite a long distance to travel. And he asked and he was given. He also mentioned about companies' social responsibility. And so another brother called KX Selvin, who stays in Navi Mumbai, he asked his company for permission to go to do value education in schools once a week, on which day he will come late. And so they allowed him to do that. He's allowed to come late to do the value education. So I think you believe, you pray, and then you ask God. Right.
One more example, just to add that. Mobis, who's part of our who pastors our Kandivali church, many of us know him. He's one of the best stock market financial journalists in the country today. And he works 90% of the time out of home. So it's possible.
If I get rupees 5 lakhs as a company bonus or a dividend, what you suggest to do with that amount? किसी के पास ज्यादा पैसा है उसका एक ही इलाज है, GMI Mission Fund.
Okay, let me attempt that question. Let me attempt that question. In a sense, I'm glad this question came up because it will put everything in perspective. Okay, the first thing I would do, it's a blessing from God. Out of my gratitude, I will set aside a certain amount to give to some purpose which I feel very strongly about. Street children, for example, is something that I feel very strongly about. I will set aside a fairly substantial part of that money, 5 lakh, for that. If there are any outstanding debt that I have, I will clear that in one shot. Okay. Third thing, I will take a third portion. So I'm splitting into portions. First portions, I will give to something beyond my tithe, which I have always wanted to give but never been able to give. Second thing is that if there is any outstanding debt, I will kind of finish that in one go. And third, I will invest a portion in a really long-term investment. Okay, because this is an unexpected bonus, and I will put a portion, that's being wise, that's what the ant does. So I will take a portion, put that portion in a really long-term investment. So I guess that would be a...
Thank you. GMI is not a company, so please don't invest any money in that. All right. Okay. So I think you got something more? No. That's it? All right. Anand is going to just lead us into prayer, give us a prayer of blessing as we close, and then I think vote of thanks from Gavin.
Everyone has this card called Financial Management Prayer Plan. Okay. I would suggest that if you have a magnet, you could use the magnet to pin this on the refrigerator. What we have done is kind of capture everything we've discussed over the last 2 days in a small capsule, which is quick to refresh. The core principles, essential principles. I'm going to quickly read through them, and then we will close in prayer. We've looked at earning, spending, saving, investing, giving, and security. In earning, work helps us to earn, but the key is to pray, asking God that we will always remember that God is blessing us so that other people would be blessed through us. That is the motive. Work with all your heart as working for the Lord. Our work is partnering with God. That's earning. Spending. No amount of comfort here will ever fully satisfy all the longings of our heart. Only Christ can fully satisfy it. So as we spend seeking these comforts, we would pray that God will help us to remember all of this. Saving. We have a responsibility to save, not just for us, but for the larger family of believers, so that they would be blessed with our savings during a time of shortage. So it's important. Savings is not just for alone, but for the larger benefit of the body of believers. Investing, we will pray that our investment philosophy will never be driven by greed. It is God who multiplies, even though we have responsibility to be wise in our investment. Giving, we saw the model of gospel-based giving this morning, and we will pray that our giving will be active and intentional and not passive and impulsive. And security, and this is the last thing, and I think it's very important, that no matter how much money we have in our bank deposit, mutual fund, SIP, whatever, that our money, our savings will never be our security. Christ and Christ alone can be the security. He is the only trustworthy anchor for our souls. So let's pray. Thank you, Lord Jesus. Thank you, Father, for everything that you have done for us. Lord, we remember, Lord, the provision that you gave to the Israelites when you led them out of Egypt, Lord. You gave them manna, Lord. And your word says, he who gathered much did not have much, did not have too much. And he who gathered little did not have too little, Lord. And Lord, we thank you, Lord, because this principle is once again fulfilled on the cross. Because at the end of all of this, Lord, even if we have failed in every one of these areas, Lord, even if every one of these areas in our lives has been mismanaged so far, we can always go to the cross, Father God, and make up for everything that is short in our lives. It is fully paid for. Any sin in the area of finances that we may have committed, Lord, all the price, the punishment for all of that, Lord God, has been paid for in full by Jesus Christ, the holy and sinless Son of God. This evening as we pray, Lord, we pray that as we go into work,